Hello everyone, hope you are all right. In our previous session, we have studied that when a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field such that the direction of current is perpendicular to the magnetic field and it experiences a force. And now, in this session, we will learn electromagnetic induction. In simple words, you can remember it as magnetic field produces electric current. Electromagnetic induction is the phenomenon in which magnetic field produces electric current. When a conductor is placed in a changing magnetic field, current is induced. Induced means produced. Such current, this type of current is called induced current. What type of current? When a conductor is placed in the magnetic field. And which type of magnetic field? Changing magnetic field. And then the current which is produced is known as induced current. And this phenomenon is known as electromagnetic induction. To study this in detail, let us think of a situation in which a conductor is moving inside a magnetic field, or a magnetic field is changing around a fixed conductor. For this, we will see what happens. This electromagnetic induction was first studied by English physicist Michael Faraday. The physicist has named Michael Faraday. In 1831, Faraday made an important breakthrough by discovering how a moving magnet can be used to generate electric current. And to observe this, let us understand an activity. For this activity, we will need a coil of wire, say wire AB, and the coil should have more number of turns. And then we have to connect the ends of the coil to a galvanometer. Let us first understand what is a galvanometer. A galvanometer is an instrument that can detect the presence of current in a circuit. So, whenever there is a current in the circuit, it can be detected by an instrument called galvanometer. Students, here I want you to remember the difference between galvanometer and ammeter. About ammeter, we have studied in chapter number 12. Both are different. Ammeter measures the electric current and galvanometer detects the presence of current in a circuit. How does it work? The pointer, which you can see in the center at 0. So this pointer remains at 0 at the center of the scale for 0 current flowing through it, which means wherever in the circuit galvanometer is attached, if there is no current in the circuit, it will remain in the center at 0. It can deflect either to the left or to the right of the 0 mark depending on the direction of the current. So, in whichever direction the current is flowing, in that direction the pointer will move, either left hand side or right side. So, this is the galvanometer which detects the presence of current in an electric circuit. So for this activity, we need to connect the ends of the coil to a galvanometer as shown in the figure. Then we have to take a strong bar magnet, and we know that a bar magnet has two pole, magnetic north pole, and the other one is south pole. So what do we have to do? We have to take this bar magnet and move its north pole towards the end of the coil. Which end? B. As shown in the figure, we have to move this north pole of the magnet towards B end of the coil. Do you see any change in the galvanometer? Does it deflect? As a result, there is a momentary deflection. Deflection means the needle, the pointer, will deflect. Momentary deflection, which means for a moment. For a moment only, there will be a deflection in the needle of the galvanometer. As shown in the figure, when we move north pole of the bar magnet towards the B end, the pointer of galvanometer will deflect towards the right side, as you can see in the galvanometer. And when there is deflection, that indicates that there is the presence of a current in this coil AB, right? Now, what will happen if you do not move the magnet and keep it steady, stationary? What will happen? Will there be deflection? Let us find out. Here is the answer for you. You can clearly see in the picture that when there is no movement of the magnet, then it is showing 0 right at the center. The pointer is at the center. So the deflection becomes 0, and at the moment of the motion of the magnet stops, which means if we stop the magnet moving, then it shows 0 exactly in the center, right? Now before, what did we learn? When we move north pole towards the coil, it shows right side deflection. When we stop, it is in the center. Now if you take back the bar magnet, which means in the first case, we moved the north pole towards the coil. Now, if you take back, then it will show the deflection on the left hand side, right? So, when you take north pole towards the end of the coil, it will show right side deflection. Then it is in the center when there is no motion of the magnet, and in the last, when we withdraw the north pole of the magnet away from the coil, which means you are taking back, then it is towards the left, which means the direction was opposite to the first case, to the first situation. In the first situation, it was right side, and in the second situation, it was left side. So here we kept the coil stationary and the magnet was moving. Now, if we take another situation, if we keep the magnet stationary, steady at one point, then what will happen? If we place the magnet stationary at a point near to the coil, how? Keeping its north pole towards the end of B coil. What do we see? We will see that the galvanometer needle deflects towards the right. when the coil is moved towards the north pole of the magnet. Now, here the situation is different. Before the magnet was moving. Now, in this case, magnet is stationary. So, at that time, in second situation, what will happen if you take north pole towards the coil B? In that way, if you keep, then it will move to the right side. Similarly, the needle moves towards left when the coil is moved away. Another situation, if you keep the coil stationary with respect to the magnet, the deflection of the galvanometer becomes zero. Why? Now we all know that when there is no movement of magnet or the coil, there will not be any current passing. So galvanometer shows zero current. This we have checked by keeping north pole towards the end of the coil. You can also check by keeping the south pole of the magnet towards the B end of the coil. And what will happen? In that case, the deflection of the galvanometer, that will be opposite to the previous case. Now, if for example, the coil is stationary, okay, at rest. Now again, the magnet is moving, but this time south pole of the magnet is nearer to B end of the coil. Then what will happen? It will show deflection towards left. Earlier it was showing right. This time we have south pole nearer to B and then it will be in opposite direction. So it will move towards left side. So this way it will be opposite. And when you take the magnet back, when you take the south pole of the magnet backwards, what will happen? It will deflect towards the right side. Now, this is the case when the south pole of the magnet brought nearer to B end of the coil. So, from this activity, it is clear that motion of a magnet with respect to the coil produces an induced potential difference. Now, what is the potential difference? That we have learned in chapter number 12. Potential difference is the work done to move a unit charge from one place to another place, or else you can say that from one point to another point. And when it produces potential difference, because of that, it sets up an induced electric current in the circuit. So this is the activity to learn electromagnetic induction.